Anime begins with Kirie meeting her boyfriend Shuichi, who tells her about a mysterious spiral disease plaguing their town. His own father has become increasingly obsessed with spirals, to the point where his eyes roll terrifyingly independent of each other as he fixates on them. Strange phenomena like whirlpools in the town streams and weak tornadoes in the air begin to emerge, adding to the town atmosphere. Shuichi's father is indeed obsessed with spirals, decorating his room entirely with spiral patterns. He even visits Kirie's father, a pottery artisan, to commission a custom spiral art piece. At Kirie's new high school we meet her friend Akane, who has a scar on her forehead. Akane explains that she got it while attempting to walk on a tightrope to impress someone she liked. Since getting the scar, she claims she's never had any trouble attracting her crushes. When Kirie later introduces Akane to Shuichi, he reacts violently, grabbing Kirie's hand and running away. He claims Akane is afflicted with the Uzumaki, the spiral curse. Later, when Shuichi encounters Akane acting strangely, it's revealed that her scar has transformed into a growing spiral. Meanwhile, the spiral disease continues spreading. One of Kirie's classmates develops a mysterious spiral on his back. As things spiral out of control, Shuichi's father dies while trying to twist his body into a spiral shape inside a bathtub. Shuichi explains how his mother and he were on the verge of admitting him to a hospital. At his father's cremation, the smoke from the cremation forms a massive spiral in the sky, pushing Shuichi's mother into madness, and she is hospitalized. Her condition worsens to the point where she attempts to cut off her fingertips because of the spirals in her fingerprints. While returning from the hospital, Kirie runs into Akane, whose face is now partially consumed by the growing spiral on her forehead. Akane approaches Shuichi and asks a schoolboy for help, promising to date him in return. She then gruesomely sucks him into the growing spiral on her head. Shuichi hides in a large tree while Kirie watches in horror as Akane's spiral continues to grow, ultimately consuming her entire body until she vanishes out of existence. Kirie realizes that the darkness in their town has only just begun. At Kirie's school, where a student named Katayama who has a spiral on his back enters the class, his back begins to expand, resembling a snail's shell. Meanwhile, two lovers Yuriko and Kazunori spend time in an abandoned shed, watching two snakes coiled together. They think snakes are mating. Later, Kirie and one of her classmates are spooked by another boy who is trying to woo Kirie. The townsfolk have started burying their dead because the crematorium smoke has begun swirling into spirals, affecting only the residents of Kurizucho. On her way home, Kirie encounters one of the lovers and watches as their families tear them apart. It's a Romeo and Juliet-like situation where their families hate each other. The lovers decide to run away from the town and Kirie offers to help. Later, Kirie and Shuichi visit Shuichi's mother at the hospital. Shuichi informs Kirie that Yuriko and Kazunori's neighborhood is being affected by the Uzumaki curse. He explains that those infected with the Uzumaki crave attention to the point of death. Shuichi also comments on how Kirie's hair seems to be growing longer. The next day, Kirie's hair begins to curl, forming spirals. One of her classmates braids her hair, but while in class the braids come undone and curl again. The students then witness Katayama sliding up the windows, his eyes elongating as his body transforms into a snail. After school, Kirie visits a salon to get her hair cut, but her hair takes control. At home, her hair attempts to choke her, angry that she tried to have it cut. The next day, Kirie arrives at school with her hypnotizing curls. Sumira, the student who bullied Katayama, seems impressed by the Uzumaki. Outside, Kirie sees the teacher showing Katayama's parents that their son has transformed into a snail, but they refuse to believe such a bizarre explanation for his disappearance. The following day, as Kirie walks to school, she encounters the boy who admires her. To prove his love, he throws himself in front of a car, his body wrapping around the tire, leaving him bloody and lifeless. When Kirie reaches school, she finds that Sumira has also transformed into a snail. When placed in a cage with the other snail, Sumira and Katayama begin mating. Later, another classmate with similar spiraled hair challenges Kirie. Their hair fights each other until Shuichi arrives and cuts Kirie's hair, saving her. Meanwhile, the other student walks around town, seeking attention until her hair wraps around an electric pole, killing her. The snails escape from their cage, and as Shuichi and Kirie head back, they find their teacher destroying Sumira and Katayama's eggs. The teacher explains that snails are neither male nor female, leaving Kyrie horrified by the discovery. Yuriko and Kazunori then arrive, running as their parents have discovered their plan to elope and are chasing them. Kyrie and Shuichi help them escape towards the beach, but the lovers are eventually caught. Refusing to be separated, Kazunori twists his body like the mating snakes, with Yuriko following. The two lovers twist their bodies together and escape into the ocean. The next day, Kyrie notices people walking in circles throughout the town. At school, Kyrie's teacher transforms into a snail as well. Following her brother, Kyrie finds herself near the lighthouse where there's been a shipwreck. 5 experts had been sent to investigate the lighthouse, but none returned. Mitsuo, Kyrie's brother, and his friends run towards the lighthouse and begin climbing to the top. Kyrie follows them and notices the staircase spiraling endlessly. Along the way, she encounters charred bodies. At the top, they find the lighthouse lens distorted. As the sun begins to set, Kyrie urges the children to descend quickly, but the lens is struck by sunlight, causing the lighthouse to heat up. One of the children is burned in the intense heat as Kyrie and the others appear to be engulfed as well. Kyrie in the hospital follows the disturbing events at the lighthouse. Shuichi visits her, telling her about the cochlea in the ear, which he recently realized is spiral-shaped. He's increasingly anxious, fearing that his mother will discover this spiral pattern in her own body. As they talk, they notice a spiral formation of mosquitoes outside Kyrie's hospital window. Soon news spreads that several pregnant women who had been bitten by mosquitoes were admitted to the hospital, including Kyrie's cousin, who ends up sharing her room. The following day, hospital staff find a patient dead, his body drained of blood. Shuichi visits Kyrie and kills a mosquito in her room, explaining that female mosquitoes drink blood to nourish their eggs. That night, Kyrie is horrified to see a group of pregnant women roaming the hospital with drills. She watches one of them drill into a patient's neck and drink his blood. When they notice Kyrie witnessing their crime, they begin to hunt her down, killing anyone else who discovers their secret. Kyrie manages to escape to her room, where even her cousin starts exhibiting the same bloodthirsty behavior. Kyrie survives by using insect repellent on the women. Meanwhile, Shuichi's mother starts hallucinating, hearing her deceased husband talk about the spiral inside her ear. Despite a doctor's assurance that there's nothing wrong, she eventually goes mad and stabs her ear with scissors. She later dies, and as her body is cremated, her smoke forms a spiral. The next day, Kyrie refuses to eat breakfast, sensing that the mushrooms served to her taste like blood. Soon after, they find that the newborn babies in their ward are refusing to leave their mother's wombs, and are instead growing placentas that resemble the mushrooms. The doctors reveal that the babies are physically refusing to be born. Kyrie's cousin, now fully transformed, craves blood, and the doctor nearly sacrifices Kyrie and Shuichi to feed her. The pair narrowly escape as Kyrie's cousin consumes the doctor instead. Later, Kyrie and Shuichi return to Kyrie's home, only to discover it filled with spiral-shaped pottery created by her father. Shuichi breaks the kiln, releasing trapped souls and engulfing the house in flames. Soon after, a typhoon strikes the town, killing one of Kyrie's classmates, whose hair had become entangled in a pole. Shuichi takes Kyrie to a safer place as they hear the storm seemingly calling her name. They get caught in the whirlpool but miraculously survive. In the aftermath, Kyrie's family and Shuichi move into a temporary shelter, as their house was destroyed by the storm. Later, one of their neighbors explains that the strange moaning sounds from next door are coming from the son of a poor woman. Soon, however, they find the son dead, his room covered in holes. The neighbor, revealed to be stalking Kyrie, starts developing spiral-shaped horns all over his body. Kyrie and Shuichi then encounter another dead classmate, whose body parts break apart as he moves, with a car's suspension spring attached to his torso. Later, a car accident inside a tunnel as media personnel try to reach the town following the storm. All of them die except for a reporter named Chie Maruyama. She meets Kyrie, and Kyrie insists she stay with them. The curse of the Uzumaki in the town has worsened to the point where any significant movement causes a tornado to form, like a butterfly effect. The town's pond has turned into a whirlpool. Despite the original plan, Kyrie and her family are turned away by the people inside the rescue home. While outside, they encounter gangsters who have begun exploiting the situation. The group finds some of the gangsters cooking and eating the snail people. They try to force the group to join them, and because of their sudden movements, a tornado sweeps away Kyrie's father. The gangsters are sucked into the whirlpool while the rest of the group somehow survives. Later the group meets more volunteers who are also trapped in the town. They try to leave but claim that the tunnels won't let them and they keep spiraling back. Gradually some of them start turning into snail people with Uzumaki spirals appearing on their backs. Together they attempt to force their way into the rescue homes, thinking the curse of the Uzumaki might slow down. However, they are shocked to find the people inside tangled in a mass of bodies. The mass of flesh begins elongating the houses. They see ships in the distance, but the ocean swallows the ships into the whirlpool. The group continues their journey trying to escape the town. Some of the volunteers, including Shuichi, gorge on the meat of a man who has transformed into a snail. Kirie and the rest return to a temporary shelter, where Kirie discovers that her mother was taken by a tornado, and her brother has begun transforming into a snail. Kirie, Shuichi, and others decide to cut through the mountains to find a way out of town. As they walk, they realize the road is a loop. When they encounter the volunteers again, one of them turns into a snail and the others feast on the raw meat. Kirie hides her brother and they continue their journey. Eventually her brother transforms fully, and Kirie barely manages to help him climb down a cliff to avoid becoming food for the others. The remaining volunteers are slowly driven mad as their bodies transform into Uzumakis. The group travels endlessly without finding an exit. As time seems to slip away from them, they eventually return to the town and are shocked to see it has been reconstructed into the shape of an Uzumaki. According to Shuichi, the original ancient town must have been an Uzumaki, and the curse periodically reoccurs as the town expands. They realize years have passed since they left. The group heads toward the pond where Kirie believes her parents are, but along the way Chie gets trapped in one of the apartments. Once the reconstruction is complete, the mass of bodies moves toward the pond. Shuichi and Kirie reach the pond, now a massive hole in the ground with steps leading to the center. Shuichi falls into the middle and Kirie follows him. They discover strange spiral ruins at the center revealed to be the source of the curse. Since spirals hypnotically draw everything toward their center, this is where they find all the bodies entangled with one another, including Kirie's parents. In the end, Shuichi and Kirie give up and allow themselves to become entangled. With this, the curse is lifted, and the town expands again, only for the same events to begin once more with two new characters taking on Shuichi and Kirie's roles.